All right, so let's get right into it. Microsoft, kind of out of the blue, just dropped this super weird, super cryptic clue about what's next for Windows, and, it's got everyone buzzing. So today, what we're going to do is piece together all the evidence and try to figure out what on earth is coming. So it all kicked off with this tweet from the official Windows account, no less. It says, "Your hands are about to get some PTO." Paid time off. Time to rest those fingers. Something big is coming Thursday. I mean, come on. That is not your typical corporate PR speak, right? It's quirky, it's really specific, and it's definitely pointing to a huge change in how we, physically use our computers. And that's the key right there, that one phrase, rest those fingers. Think about it. For decades, the keyboard and the mouse, basically our fingers, have been the way we talk to Windows. This tweet, it sounds a lot like Microsoft is saying that's all about to change, and in a really fundamental way. So what could possibly replace our fingers as the main way we get things done? And that right there is the big mystery we're trying to solve. I mean, what could possibly be so big that they're telling us to literally give our hands a break? Are we just talking about a cool new feature here? Or is this something much bigger, like a whole new philosophy for, the most popular operating system on the entire planet? Now, that tweet might have felt like it came out of nowhere. But it turns out the clues have been hiding in plain sight for weeks now. Seriously, if you start looking at what some key Microsoft execs have been saying, a really clear picture starts to form. So let's follow that trail. Okay, clue number one. This is a big one. It's a quote from Pavan Davalori, who's the guy in charge of Windows right now. And listen to this. He's not just talking about, simple voice commands like open word. He uses this really specific phrase. He says the computer should semantically understand your intent. So what in the world does semantic understanding even mean? Well, think of it like this. It's the difference between telling your smart speaker, play music, which is pretty simple, and telling your PC, hey, find that budget doc from last week's meeting, grab the sales numbers, and pop them into an email to Sarah. See the difference? The computer isn't just hearing individual words. It actually understands the goal of what you're trying to do. And get this, the next clue fits right in. David Weston, he's another top executive at Microsoft. He kind of takes that idea and runs with it. He's talking about a computer that is totally aware of its context. It can see what you see, hear what you hear. So this isn't just about you barking commands at it. No, this is about the computer actually understanding what you're up to and helping you do much more complicated stuff, all just by having a conversation. Okay, so when you start putting all these pieces together, you've got the weird tweet about rest in your fingers, you've got the head of Windows talking about semantic understanding, and you've got another exec describing a PC that can see and hear. Well, the leading theory becomes pretty darn obvious, right? It really looks like Microsoft is betting the farm on voice. So what does that actually mean for us? Well, we're probably looking at voice becoming a brand new primary way to use your computer. And it's going to be powered by something they call agentic AI, which is just a fancy way of saying an AI that can actually do things for you. All of this points to a really deep integration of natural language right into the guts of the operating system. Oh, and here's a key detail. Sources are saying this isn't some brand new Windows 12. This is supposed to be a massive evolution for Windows 11. And this table really puts that shift into perspective. I mean, look at it. Right now, keyboard and mouse are king. They're primary. Touch is, you use it sometimes. And voice, it's super limited, let's be honest. But the future Microsoft seems to be painting, it completely flips the script. Keyboard and mouse are still there, they're supported. But voice, supercharged with AI, jumps right into that primary spot. That's a radical change. Okay. But before we all get too excited about the sci-fi future, we got to pump the brakes for a second and look at history. Because let's be real, Microsoft has tried to completely change how we use Windows before, and it hasn't always gone so well. The company has this track record of making these huge, ambitious bets on new ways to interact with our PCs. They see a future, they go all in and build for it. But sometimes they're just way ahead of what people are actually ready for. And there's one example that I think we all remember. Yeah, I'm talking about Windows 8. Remember that? It was built entirely around touchscreens. The whole promise was this seamless, amazing future of hybrid tablets and PCs. But for the millions and millions of us sitting at a desk with a good old keyboard and mouse, it was just confusing. It was frustrating. The ambition was massive, for sure, but the user backlash was too. So that's the million-dollar question now, right? Is a voice-first Windows going to run into that exact same wall of resistance? And that really brings us to the biggest, most important question of all. It's the elephant in the room. Is talking to your computer like all day, every day, something any of us actually want to do? Picture it. You're in a busy open plan office, or a dead silent library, or crammed into an airplane seat. Are you really going to be having a conversation with your laptop? The practical, real-world side of a voice-first OS is a huge hurdle to overcome. So we've gathered the clues, we've looked at the history. Where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us all looking at the calendar, waiting for this Thursday. That's when Microsoft says the big mystery finally gets solved. So, just to recap the timeline real quick, it all kicked off on October 14th with that weird tweet. Then we found all these hints from executives that have been dropping for weeks. And now here we are with all eyes on Thursday for the official something big announcement. When you boil it all down, it comes to this. Microsoft is making a massive, massive bet. They are betting that the next giant leap forward in computing isn't going to be about faster chips or better graphics cards. Nope. They're betting it's all about changing the fundamental way we interact with our computers by turning it into a conversation. Now, whether that bet pays off big time or if it ends up being another Windows 8 moment, well, that's what we're all waiting to see. But in the end, it really comes down to a simple personal question for every single one of us. When this tech actually lands on our machines, are you going to use it? Are you actually going to talk to your computer? I guess we're all about to find out.